Hello and welcome to the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. My name is John Shipley. I'm your host and beat reporter, and I've been your beat reporter covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for On SI every single day since August 2019, and we're continuing to march forward to another offseason together. As always, you can always find our 24/7, 100% free, boots on the ground coverage of the Jaguars every single day on social media such as Facebook and Twitter when you follow us at Jaguars on SI. You can also find us at www.si.com/NFL/Jaguars. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about a Jaguar who, in my opinion, has flown under the radar for a couple of years now, but is arguably one of the most important players on the entire roster entering 2025. That is none other than left tackle Walker Little. Now, as you guys know from listening to past podcasts, and you can even read some articles I've done recently on the site, including one mentioning 3 players who I think could be Pro Bowlers in 2025 for the first time, I think Walker Little is one of the more underrated players on the Jaguars roster. I have felt this way for years, really. Honestly, since he stepped in for the last couple of games of the 2021 season. After looking good at left tackle as a rookie to end the year following a Cam Robinson injury, it, to me, seemed clear the Jaguars should just kind of roll with Walker Little as their starting left tackle. They obviously did not have that be the case. They had Cam Robinson start for the next couple years, really, or at least slated to be the starter in Week 1. And Jawan Taylor was there in 2022. Walker Little entered a training camp battle against him, but it was always going to be Jawan Taylor's job. I mean, you're taking a career left tackle against a career right tackle, battling for the right tackle spot. It always seemed like that was going to be Jawan Taylor's job to win, which he did. Go through the season, Cam Robinson goes down with a knee injury against the Dallas Cowboys, I believe, and only a couple games left in the season. Walker Little steps in at left tackle for the end of the season for the playoff run. Played really well. If you look at his production in terms of pressure metrics and efficiency, etc., played better than Cam Robinson. 2023, he opens the season as a starter due to a suspension of Cam Robinson. And in my opinion, that first month of the season that he started at left tackle, one of the strongest stretches that he's had. He graded out really well in terms of pressures allowed and pressure rate and efficiency, etc. Graded as, frankly, one of the better left tackles in football to open the month of the 2023 season. But when Cam Robinson came back, they heed and they hawed, and they put Cam at left tackle, Doug Peterson's staff, etc. They tried to have Walker Little play guard. He got injured very early on in that experiment, but he just isn't a guard. He is an NFL left tackle. That's his most, specific spot that he can play. Like, is it good to have the versatility to be able to slide a guy inside? Absolutely. But Walker Little, in his game, he's just not a guard. He is a left tackle. They, in my opinion, should have just gave him the ball and let him run with it in 2023 in terms of manning the left tackle spot. I think that's when they should have made the transition full-time to Walker Little. He's playing good football. Let Cam Robinson either try to play guard, which we know was never going to happen during Cam Robinson's tenure, or let him watch. But I also get to the other point. The Jaguars wanted to get their best 5 on the field, and they saw Cam Robinson as one of their best 5, which he was in 2023. But in my opinion, they sacrificed long-term value for short-term convenience. Cam Robinson, in my opinion, in 2022, 2023, and 2024 did not play as well as Walker Little. And that's why when I see some things, Walker Little's never won a starting job, how can they trust him, etc., it doesn't make any sense to me. He's been the better left tackle. He has been their best left tackle, in my opinion, since the end of his rookie season. And for one reason or another, they kept going back to the Cam Robinson well. And eventually, of course, it kind of blew up in their face. they were able to trade him to Minnesota, but it came after a debacle against the Green Bay Packers. A debacle where you could see the coaching staff was animated with Robinson on the sideline while Little started the game. And wasn't in Jacksonville for much longer. They turned it back over to Little. Not only was Little the better pass protector in 2024, his run blocking took a big step forward. Trent Baalke ends up giving him an extension. To me, it was such a weird move because to me, I guess you could argue maybe Trent Baalke was in the right mindset because it's not like he got fired at the very end of the year. If he was operating like he was going to be the general manager the next year, for a good bit, it looked like he would be. Shad Khan did not fire him until about 3 weeks into the coaching search. But it was still one of those moves where a potential lame duck GM was extending somebody who the next regime would have to make decisions on if they wanted to roll with him or not. And to me, it kind of forced the current regime's hand. Like, yeah, they could bring competition in for him, and they did, Fred Johnson, etc. But more likely than not, he wasn't going anywhere. Financially, it just wasn't feasible for him to go anywhere. He was locked in. Do I think that this regime necessarily would have done that? Maybe not. But I do think as a result of Trent Baalke's kind of final big move as Jaguars GM, the Jaguars are being forced to actually enter a solid situation at left tackle. I think offensive tackle is a potential top need for the Jaguars in 2026. I don't think that has anything to do with Walker Little. I think it has everything to do with the right side. Does Anton Harrison take a step? Does he become more consistent? Etc. I think it's a very real scenario where they're looking for a starting right tackle next offseason, just based on, obviously, I mean, they put Anton Harrison on notice that, hey, you need to be consistent and start performing. Walker, however, I didn't get the sense during the offseason program he was somebody who was being pushed. I don't think Fred Johnson is near him in terms of talent, and I don't think the Jaguars think so either. After, just watching some of the offseason reps, I think Walker Little is the clear starting left tackle. And I think that's a good thing for the Jaguars. I think this is something that should have been happened years ago. And it's just the odd case of Walker Little. The regime that drafted him didn't start him. The next coaching regime didn't start him. And now it seems like this regime is going to start him, but more so because they have to. And they shouldn't feel like they have to. They should be happy about the fact that Walker Little is their left tackle. It's been a very odd career arc, in my opinion. But just look at the numbers. In terms of his pass pro efficiency, etc., his numbers have consistently graded out well over the course of his career. And in my opinion, he's a good left tackle who maybe he could have been great by now. Had they not, in my opinion, mangled his development, his opportunities. I mean, he's entering his 5th season and is just now going to be leaned upon to be a full-time guy. It makes no sense to me. I don't see how you can expect a guy to get better and to improve and to show you he's the guy if you're, pulling him off stage with the giant hook, every time he starts to get some momentum, get his footing. So I think Walker Little's in for a good season with the Jaguars. This is obviously a scheme that plays to a lot of people's strengths on the offense. I think the Jaguars will, at least in this season, knowing that they have their left tackle. Do they have their right tackle? That's another question, which I think still has to be determined. But I think Walker Little is finally going to be given the chance to be the player that he should have been allowed to be this whole time. And yeah, it's true. I don't know everything that the past Jaguars staff has. But I know what happens on Sunday. And I know what the results say. And Walker Little should have been in this spot a long time ago. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode of the Jacksonville Jaguars Insider Podcast. Please find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the platforms. And thank you guys for listening.